we've been here now for 7.5 hours. Thank you very much for helping us out because I think we got more help from you guys than our own people.
Well, they were on their way to Newark, New Jersey from Fort Lauderdale when bad weather caused the plane to be diverted to Hartford, Bradley International Airport, only to be stuck then on that tarmac for hours.
Joining us, one of the stranded passengers on that flight, Beth Epstein. Good morning, Beth.
Hi.
Tell us about this. I mean, did they tell you they were running out of fuel and they couldn't land? I mean, this sounds like a flight from hell.
It was the flight from hell. It was, they tried to land in Newark as planned, and there was no visibility, so the captain announced that they were going to try to use the instruments. I forget what the word was, but they went down to about 900 feet, and then because there was no visibility and the machines at Newark were down, that they needed for the instruments to work for them to be able to land safe. So we shot up, which was pretty scary. Then they made an announcement, we had a half hour of fuel left, and they were going to circle and try to either see if the instruments were up and running so they could land at Newark or land at another local airport. Then they let us know they were going to Bradley, and we'd be on the ground in about an hour. So that kind of created
so the math didn't work.
To set in.
Half hour fuel and being on an hour.
Exactly. They did clarify, and I have to say, just the crew was fabulous. They really were. And people kind of came together and held it together. The frustrating thing was, I think the pilot was given a lot of misinformation and poor information, and he was doing the best he can. Eight. I calculated 8. Everyone keeps saying 7, but yeah, 7, 8 doesn't make a difference at that point, really. And the bathrooms did stop working. We did run out of water. At the end, it got pretty stinky and nasty.
So I want to understand, when this was all happening, and the pilot is being, to me, way too honest. If someone's landing with instruments, low visibility, with no gas, keep it to yourself. Do you want to know that information?
No, I want to know as the passenger.
I didn't need to know about the fuel part, you know, and then this poor woman next, you know, the people who didn't speak English or hardly spoke English, and
who called 911 to get the cops there?
I don't know. I don't know. At the very end, there was, in the front of the plane, I was in the back of the plane. In the front of the plane, I think there was somebody with a medical emergency. That was the worst part of it is they kept saying, you know, starting at about 3, 4 o'clock, they started saying that we were going to refuel the ice. Because understand that it started snowing really hard in Hartford. So for the 7, 8, whatever it was, hours we were on the tarmac, there was so much accumulation that then we had no hope. I mean, then there was nothing.
You stayed on the tarmac in hopes that you might take off and go back to
that was the plan. And then they just kept saying, oh, they were taking this other plane first or that other plane first.
I'm wondering if this new federal law is going to play into this because, you know, only 3 hours on a tarmac or the air carrier faces a $27,500 fine for each passenger.
Right. So, and are you looking to sue?
I mean, I'd like them to do something. I think they deserve, you know, we deserve an explanation.
Well,
you know,
let's hear what they're saying. Let's hear what JetBlue is saying. We worked with the airport to secure services, including remote fleet planning and laboratory servicing. Obviously, we'd have preferred deplaning much sooner than we did. The airport experienced intermittent power outages, which made refueling and jet bridge deplaning difficult. So what say you? Is that a start?
You know what? I think that it seemed to me that they didn't prepare anything. It seemed to me that during those 8 hours that they had us on the plane, once they decided that they were going to let us off, and obviously we were going to have to spend the night there, that's when they first started. I mean, they brought cots in, they had the National Guard come in, but I felt like they started that process at midnight. Like, why didn't they? If they had made arrangements, you know, during the time that we were stuck on the tarmac, maybe we would have been able to get hotel rooms and you know, not slept on
And as bad as it was, one thing I think you pointed out that's true, the pilot couldn't have done more for you.
No,
the crew
and
was sensational, right?
Yeah, they were amazing.
What did you do for the whole 8 hours?
I mean, we made the best of it, to be honest. I mean, we hung out in the back. You know, some people, we tried to be leaders, and we tried to make the best of it, and we handed out. I mean, there were, you know, there's a diabetic woman. We got her juice.
So they let you stand up? Because usually
on
the tarmac,
they let us stand up. No, I mean, they weren't, at first they were like, sit down. We were like, no. You know, so we just kind of made the best of it. We started playing geography and just made the best of a horrible situation. It started to get really bad at the end because at the end they kept saying that we were going to get towed in. They never even towed us in. We had to walk down these awfully narrow, icy stairs, get on this little bus. And then that's kind of when it got really bad. And then we were in the airport, and they weren't prepared. They flew one dude up, you know, and then they had like 3 people working. They weren't, JetBlue's not that big at that airport, but they weren't prepared to handle it at all.
Well, Beth, thanks for sharing your story. Sorry you had to go through it, and we'll see where we'll follow it to find out how JetBlue's going to take care of it.
They've done nothing.
Oh,
They've not
really?
even, no.
Well, Beth Epstein, thanks so much. Thanks, Beth.
Thank you, guys.
You did very good.
You did
Okay, and if you want, you can walk out right now. Go ahead.
We're going to see some other headlines.
Hey, Beth, taking control, just like you did on the plane.
The wild West are wreaking havoc all